This time on Roadkill, can we rebuild the top end of a Mini before Freiburger can put an entire small block Chevy together?
It's another Roadkill working from home. And I'm building an engine with leftover parts. Ready?
Yeah! Yeehaw! Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, baby, there we go. You like them spinning 20s?
Hey, it's Freiburger here, and this is going to be the quarantine episode of Roadkill, where both Finnegan and I are completely by ourselves in our home garages. That didn't work very well. Going again. I'm responsible for filming on my iPhone, setting up the audio, dealing with the lighting, being my own production assistant, the whole shebang. Okay, editor's note. This is going to be the very start of the Freiburger part of the program. Oh, I never started the audio. So forgive the quality. It's not going to be up to your normal standards. But hey, Roadkill. Oh, this is killing me.
Well, here we go again. Roadkill working from home. I'm like in my garage, you're in your garage. We're gonna make this happen.
This is very strange. We're not together working on cars.
Together but separate.
Yeah, social distancing.
We are socially distanced by about 3,000 miles.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
This short block right here has been sitting around. Actually, it was in your shop for years. Remember we tried to sell it for like 1,800 bucks with heads and everything, and no one wanted it?
Dude, you wanna know what's funny is I watched the Boatkill episode yesterday and saw that motor sitting on the floor of my shop in the corner by the door.
I noticed that as well. But then after that, it got all parted out into a million pieces for engine masters, and I forget, I stole the oil pan for something else. And so it's nothing but a short block. It hasn't actually run since 2008, and I'm gonna try and make it a complete fire-upable engine using almost nothing but leftover junk from my treasure trove in my garage.
Oh, you have a great garage. Like, I bet there's at least 4 or 5 different sets of heads you can choose from and 9 camshafts. Like,
I have like 5 sets of heads right there. So it's pretty cool. What are you working on?
Look behind me. That's not what I'm working on. That's what I have to get out of the garage to get to the project that I'm working on. Do you remember that?
The blower is new?
Yeah, this is the green ramp truck that I traded Big Red for. Newbern and I are just putting a supercharger on it to make me feel better about how crappy the truck is. We're gonna push this outside, and then we're gonna bring in the Toyota mini truck that I bought during the Trino wagon episode. We had speed parts for that with us from LC Engineering. We have a ported head, a camshaft, a header, all these parts that we can put on there and hopefully in a couple of days make this thing do burnouts again, and in the summer maybe go back to a drag strip and see if we can do better than our 18-second quarter-mile time.
Wow, that's a lot. I don't know how you're gonna get that done.
Newbern, he's here.
Oh, okay. Then I have complete faith.
Well, good luck, and I don't know, I'll check in with you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. I'm gonna go degree the cam on this turd.
All right, good luck.
My job on this episode is to see if I can make this engine run by the end of the show using mostly parts that are just left over from my stash. Let's look at our baby here to see what we've got to start with. It's a 350 small block, just a stock block. It's 30 over, which I only knew because I wiped off the piston and handily it had the part number on it right there. I thought it was 60 thousandths over bore, so 30 is good news. And by that part number, it reminded me that it has a probe forged piston in it with a 3cc dome, and that's interesting because what it means is this thing's gonna have about 11-to-1 compression, which sets the tone for the rest of the build, which is pretty cool. Other than that, it's pretty stock. It's got a 3.48 stroke stock cast 350 Chevy crank. You can see it's got some aftermarket H-beam rods in it with good bolts, stock bolts on the main, still has an oil pump on it. Paint's pretty clean. Here's a question a bunch of people have asked, which is, what is this orange stuff? Why did you paint the inside of the block? I guess that's an old man, old school trick. This is a product called Glipdol, and the theory behind it is that it makes the inside of the block slicker so that oil returns to the pan faster. I remember reading and maybe even writing in magazines in the past that it also seals the casting so sand can't escape from the iron. I think that's bogus. I haven't done it to an engine since this one, so that's how much I care.
This is a 1985 Toyota, which in 85, Toyota really didn't have a name. Some people call them Hiluxes, some people call them pickups. And I bought this from my friend Alex Anderson. He sold it to me, and I had it transported to Texas, where a Cummins swap Torino wagon was waiting for Tony Angelo and I. And last year, you saw this thing go head-to-head with that wagon and win. One time. It ran 18 flat, I think at 68 miles an hour,
Dang.
something like that in the quarter mile. And we're going to try to improve upon that today.
How much power is all these upgrades supposed to give us here?
I think this thing will make about 140, 150 horsepower. So 50% more power.
I legit don't know what's the intake and what's the exhaust. This must be the exhaust, right?
All right, we have a medium lift cam and a ported cylinder head from LC Engineering going on our hot rod mini truck. And we don't know which side is the intake or the exhaust. But I'm sure if we stare at it long enough and play detective, we'll figure it out. So near as I can tell, there are only 3 aftermarket parts on this engine. It's got a Hedman header, an LC Engineering recurved distributor, and dual Weber carburetors. The rest of this thing is stock. The carburetors are definitely loose. That's the vacuum leak right there. Everything is loose. I just unbolted it from the head, and I'm now taking it out of the truck. I never touched this hardware. There just weren't any nuts on it, so.
Ugh, dude.
Hey.
That is sludge mixed with...
Let's just call it condensation. I don't want to call it water.
It's a lot of condensation.
Look at that, dude. The chocolate milkshake. Guess what? We roadkilled the Yoda. Bad news is we forgot to push the button on the camera the whole time.
Oh, man.
There's no footage. This looks remarkably easy, right? I think the rocker stand bolts are the head bolts. So it's just disconnect the bolt here to get the timing chain gear off. And then I think rockers come off, cam comes out, and then, dude, the head comes off. I'm sure we can get that with a magnet after the head's off. Cylinder head is almost ready to come off, which is good because I just dropped the timing chain down into the crankcase.
Oh my goodness. Dude.
Oh, God, it looks like you're twisting
Dude.
it. Oh, dude. So you're pulling the lever, but it is no longer turning. Oh my God. Dude. Dude, I thought for sure this thing is gonna snap in half.
Surprised the damn socket ain't broke.
There we go. There we go. We got a ridge from like 200,000 miles.
It doesn't have a ridge at all. Would have broke one of these things, whatever that is.
I think that's the timing chain adjuster.
Man, it's finally an awesome day. I'm gonna roll this 350 outside and clean it up. Oh man, that was a bad idea. It is hot out there. And we now know that this thing turns over freely. Not that I expected that it wouldn't, but it's good to know that we haven't ruined yet another engine. This thing's pretty good. All right, more cleanup. Last thing I'm gonna do here is just wipe some clean motor oil on all the cylinders, get the last bit of grit out of them, lubricate the cylinder wall, get some oil on the rings. We're ready to move on. Whew, hot. Now it gets fun because we can start adding speed parts. So even before the episode started, I kind of rifled my big stack of camshafts. This cam actually was purchased for Engine Masters, I don't know, a little while ago, and it was supposed to go in our 383 and didn't. And so we're gonna use it, and I'll tell you what it is. But the key to being able to use it was me being able to find these used comp cams solid roller lifters. Remember, this thing has 11:1 compression or thereabouts. We'll figure that out later. Well, that means I can put a stout camshaft in it with solid roller. So here's what we got. This thing is duration at 50,000 tap at lift, 242, 248. The lift, 570, 576, and a lobe separation angle of 110. So man, it's gonna be stout. The other stuff that I got here, I found this package of ARP bolts, 2 cam bolts, so I'll have to dig up something else. This is something I had to buy, a cam button, and I started to come up with this timing chain right here. In fact, the gear's already on the engine, but then I found this Lunati set, and I suspect it's better, but I haven't even opened it yet. Oh, this is one of the adjustable cam timing ones. Yep, made in USA. That's what we're gonna be using right there. All right. This is awesome. I've already stabbed the camshaft, so let's hook it up and degree this thing.
Day 2, and the mini truck is partially stripped. We got the cylinder head off yesterday, and a bunch of the wiring and the plumbing disconnected. Found a few things we, thought were a little suspect, like half the bolts on the truck were loose. Today, though, we have to get the radiator out and the front accessories off the front of the motor to get the timing cover off so that we can change the timing set, which, like I said yesterday, I dropped the chain in there anyway, so we needed a way to get it out. So it's probably a good idea we're changing it. Let's go. Well, the mini truck is blown apart. We have the old cylinder head off. We've discovered some of the things that were wrong with the engine. Lots of sludge in there, but we have cleaned everything. This is LC's remanufactured cylinder head. This is called a stage 2 cylinder head. And what that means is it is ported both on the exhaust side and the intake side. It has oversized stainless steel valves. The intake and exhaust valves are a 0.5 millimeter bigger than stock. We have pro dual valve springs, new retainers, and a camshaft that has over 30 degrees more duration on the intake side, about 20 on the exhaust. It has 60 thousandths more lift than the stock cam. This all adds up to a head that flows about 40 CFM more than stock, which is a ton in a small engine like this. We're gonna put that on top after installing an OSK timing set. This is better for a number of reasons. First off, the guides and chains tensioners are metal, unlike the plastic ones that tend to break. We have a new adjustable LC Engineering upper cam gear, so we could advance the cam timing if we want. New timing chain, all that's gonna go in next before the head. We're gonna keep the carb and intake setup that's already on here. These are aftermarket Weber carburetors. These are perfect for this build. We're going to install this brand new clutch kit and flywheel. And the last thing we're gonna do is gonna swap out our old Headman shorty header for this long tube style header. Hopefully this fits. If it doesn't, we'll modify it or something.
Well, here we go with a part of an engine build that I procrastinate on the most. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't do this at all, except for that you are watching. Yes, I am going to degree the camshaft. Here's a bit of awesome news. Remember my cam bolts, where there was only 2 of them? I rifled through my epic magic bolt box and actually found the other one, which is kind of hard to believe. That's not very roadkill. I've been fiddling for about 45 minutes with this tool, trying to make it work, and it's not gonna happen. I've been trying to get this magnetic base all aligned on here and get that stick to ride right on the top of the lifter right there, and it just doesn't work. I gotta tell you, my temptation was to give up and use the regular old timing chain, line up the dots, but instead, I'm gonna dulcich it out. And what that means is figuring out how to make this work with the junk I've got laying around. Here's what I made to solve the lifter measuring problem. Custom. So here's the solid roller lifter. Here's a socket that I had to grind with the bench grinder in order to perfectly stand up straight when it pulled up against this part of the lifter. And then I was able to hose clamp it in place. And then this is a testing push rod that's only about that long that I was able to slip in there, perfectly center it at the bottom in the cup and tape it around there so that it has no wiggle in it at all. Dialed. So here we go. Well, after a lot of agonizing, I finally finished degreeing the camshaft, and I did it the right way with the intake centerline method. It's in at 106.75, they call for 106. That is definitely close to good enough. Now my next task is to adjust camshaft end play. Now to do that, I've got to have a front cover on there for the cam button, so I went rifling through my stash and found these. So which one will I use? Will it be this one? No, because chrome. Will it be this one? No, because filthy. Will it be this one? Yes, because trick. This one has been in my garage for roughly 20 years. We're finally gonna use it. Here we go. There's some of my gasket collection. I need a front cover gasket. There's a small block valve cover gasket. It's a big block timing gasket. Wait. That's it. Got it. I was starting to get concerned. All right, now we can move on and install that front cover and set the camshaft end play, but you do need the gasket in order to do that. Well, I went through all the fitment for the front cover and the cam end play, and I think I've got it just right, but then, in the middle of it, I broke the tail off this old gasket. I know, it boggles the mind, but I only had one small block Chevy timing chain cover gasket, and I broke it because it's really old and brittle. So we're actually gonna tape it back together using regular old household tape because it's nice and thin. Last night, I gave up after about 45 minutes trying to find a front cover seal. I may not have one, but I do have another storage unit. So we're gonna hop in my Dodge and go over there. Welcome to my 1999 Dodge 2500 4x4 that I custom ordered brand new with a V10 engine and a 5-speed, making it pretty unique. Basically, I just use it for parts running, towing, hauling engines, running over to my storage unit to find a seal, stuff like that. He enters with no front cover seal. Will he emerge with one? Let's find out. Boom! All kinds of stuff. I'm back, armed with more gaskets than expected, and importantly, the front seal. Just gonna go right there. All right, front cover is done. Moving on to the oil pan. The pan's all cleaned up. I found some fasteners after rifling through an old box over there, and I'm finally ready to install this. I can't wait. It's gonna be a short block, right now. Well, as soon as I install the bolts. More decision time, this time dampers. First of all, I found a brand new Milodon damper bolt. And if you think I'm faking this, explain the dust on this thing. It's been sitting around for 20 years. First of all, I've got the Professional Products Cheap Chinese damper. Second of all, I found an ATI super damper left over from my Bonneville car. And third of all, I've got the slightly less affordable but probably better Australian-made Pioneer damper right here with the timing marks on it. Now, if you chose the Pioneer damper, we got some kind of Vulcan mind melt going on because that's the one I'm gonna use.
Say hi to Newbern.
Hey, Dave.
Ooh, I see cylinder heads.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of heads. I'm a little bit behind schedule though.
Oh, me too. That's great.
It's perfect.
I've done nothing but clean and disassemble and acquaint myself with the mini truck. It's been nonstop, like oh, look, there's not a single nut holding the collector to the downpipe of the header. Or, hey, the carburetors were falling off, and that's why it had a vacuum leak. It's been amazing, let me tell you.
So it's roadkill, even though it's work from home roadkill. The thing that's been slowing me down like crazy is actually having to shoot everything on the phone by myself. Like all of these lights and everything that we've got going on, all of the tripods, and I'm basically working in the space of a one-car garage. And so, look, I have to set all that stuff up every time, shoot all the B-roll and everything, but at least there's my engine. It's got a front cover, it's got a cam, it's degreed, it's got a damper, it's got the oil pan. So I'm working on cylinder heads now. I'm gonna change valve springs and stuff.
A decision I made early on with this is kind of biting me, and it was the decision to leave the engine in the truck because we're about to install a new camshaft in this thing, and I'd like to degree it, but I have one of those giant comp cams degree wheels. I don't think it'll fit between the frame rails of the truck. This is why I decided to work on it in the truck, because it's so tiny.
Let me tell you what I swore was gonna happen, which was you guys were gonna be way ahead because you've got two guys working on it, and you were gonna call me and look at my engine and say, what, you don't have that thing running yet? But I think you got no room for that kind of statement at this point.
When I first saw the small block today, I thought, wow, he only got the timing cover put on it.
Perfect. All right, well, good luck to you guys. I guess we're gonna be doing some of the same stuff. At this point, I think it's a race. I'm gonna have heads on my junk tonight, and I've got twice as many of them.
Okay, so race is on then. We will give it our best shot.
Well, my engine test stand arrived today, and apparently it needs to be completely assembled, so that's gonna back me up a little bit. But I'm on track, so I guess we'll see you guys in a few days, and I hope I'm firing the thing up when I see you next.
All right, good luck. They say timing is everything, and we're gonna attempt to the best of our ability here in the garage to get the timing between the crankshaft and the camshaft perfect. And the key to all that, or at least the first step, is to put the engine at top dead center on the #1 cylinder. Is it gonna clear the alternator? Try a little bit, it looks like it will. We just found top dead center on the motor, use the degree wheel, the whole deal, so we know it's accurate, and about ready to start putting our new timing set in. It's got a hydraulic chain tensioner right here, and that bolts to the front of the block here, and when we removed it to install the new one, just sludge started coming out of the engine again. Not everything has gone right. First off, we found sludge in the valve cover, and then we found sludge in the motor. And we were wondering why that was until we pulled the head off and saw the head gasket, and the head gasket was not happy. Two of the head bolts didn't want to come out because they weren't happy. These go right between two exhaust ports. That's where the head gasket was blown. Who knows how many miles? These were getting superheated and the threads are wasted. Ordered head bolts, those won't be here for another day and a half, so we're kind of stuck there. Then we're like, we'll move on to something else. And it was at that moment we noticed there is not quite radiating the way it should be, probably because, I don't know, that shouldn't just fall out like that. Now we need a radiator. So I think today, when my kids aren't making a lot of noise upstairs, we'll put a clutch in. That's about all we can do at this point. And the clutch is gonna go, it's just gonna fall in. Like I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna go like that. It's gonna be fine, trust me.
So, as I stand here with a nice refreshing cola, and eating my delectable peanut butter and olive burrito, I've been reflecting on the progress the last few days. So, I've been working on this for 4 days, on what is arguably a 1.5 to 2 day job, if you didn't have to be the cameraman and the gaffer and the production assistant and the director and all those other things. And so I've been thinking about what's going on with Finnegan and Newbern, and earlier, I really thought they were gonna be cranking on that Toyota and they were gonna be way ahead of me and making fun of me, but now I realize they have a lot to do. I'm actually thinking that I could beat them in the race to having a running engine. Now, I'm not gonna tell them that because I'm not that confident, but I am gonna buckle down and get this thing going. We're gonna get cylinder heads on this thing today. We're gonna measure up push rods and move on to the always glorious induction program. Let's go. I narrowed it down to 2 choices here. Both are aluminum heads. I had the Dart 215 intake runner as cast. I also had the Blueprint Engine's 210 CNC ported, and it's that porting that put me over the edge. These cylinder heads are left over from episodes of Engine Masters where they were on our 3D3 forever, but they've got some components on them that are a problem, namely the studs and the valve springs, so I'm gonna walk you through what we're gonna do to fix that. First thing I'm gonna do here is use my LSM valve spring compressor, which is expensive, but awesome. The springs that are on this thing were set up for a hydraulic roller cam, and honestly, they weren't even that good for that, and so they need to go. Next, I have to do my valve spring pressure, which is easy with this tool from Comp Cams. You just squeeze it in a vise and you measure from the underside of the retainer, and you have to have the retainer in there, and you measure the overall height of the spring. And my installed height is 1.8 inches, which is the installed height on the cylinder head. So I make sure that the underside of the retainer to the tool is 1.8, and I read my pressure, 250 pounds. Now, the next thing you do is squeeze it by the amount of lift. So if it's 500 lift, you squeeze it another 500 thousandths of an inch and read the pressure there. We don't know what my lift is gonna be yet, or at least you don't. It's coming up later. One of the things I had to buy for this project is the correct spring seats right here, and they fit perfectly into that inner spring right there. So I'm gonna drop that seat down here on the valve. Then I'm gonna take my height mic and drop it on there. And next up, I need to take and drop in the exact same retainer and keepers or locks. And once those are installed, you can start spinning your height mic down. And I'm gonna turn this around to where you can see the scale right there. You gotta take up all the clearance you can. And you can see that our height here is almost 1/900, and I'm shooting for 1.8. So what I'm gonna have to do is take some shims right here and put them underneath that valve seat in order to take up room and squeeze that thing down to a 1/800. And I have to do that and check and check and check with every single one of these. Now here comes the cylinder head for the first time, right there. We're ready to drop in a pair of lifters. This is just for mock-up. There we go. I got the lifter in, I've got the rocker arm studs threaded in, and now I can put in my checking length push rod. See how it's threadable so that I can make it the right length. We're rigged up for valve to piston clearance. I've got the intake valve at 10 degrees after top dead center, which is where the valve is closest to the piston. And you can see right now it's zeroed out. And if I push this down until the valve touches the piston, you can see that I've got 100 thousandths and right there, 165 thousandths at the very closest point. That is plenty. We're gonna have 600 thousandths lift. Boom!
Good news, we got a tap.
Yeah, this thing was hard to get. I've got 8 out of the 10 holes cleaned out already, and these are the 2 trouble holes right here. These were in between the exhaust ports, and I'm about to clean those out right now. Hopefully, we don't have any trouble. I can already feel the grit in there.
We are finally reinstalling the cylinder head and front timing chain and head gasket.
Can you reach over there?
Oh, I can't.
There it is.
Gears, chain, lift the head up to get the cover on, right?
I watched a video on how to do this because I don't know jack squat about them, but I've built a tool that's going to go in between this tensioner down here that's going to keep the chain from dropping down, and that will allow us to pull the cam gear off, let it sit right here in the head. We're going to pull the head up 1/4 of an inch, put the timing cover on, let the head drop back down, put the timing gear back on, and then move the spacer and pull out the tool, and you're good.
All right, I have spacer. I'll get spacer. Here's our piece of Teflon. You lift the head and the gasket, right? There we go. Okay. Gaskets are in, timing chain is in, timing cover is going on right now. And as soon as the cover is bolted snugly down, we'll pull the tool out and drop the head down. This feels like progress.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I feel good about it. Now we can start putting everything in.
All right. I ran into another little problem here. Can you even see me? Ran into a little problem here. Our engine came from the factory with a mechanical fuel pump, and it had an eccentric driven off the snout of the camshaft. And that eccentric was sandwiched between the snout of the cam and the gear that turned the distributor. Our new adjustable cam gear, that eccentric won't fit back on there. And so I have to modify it to put it back on there to get the spacing right. We don't even need this eccentric because the truck came with an aftermarket electric fuel pump. But again, we need the stack up to be right for all those parts to fit together and drive our distributor properly. So I'm about to cut this thing into pieces and just turn it into basically a washer and take the eccentric part off using the death wheel. Note the multiple layers of protection because, you know, it's called a death wheel for a reason. Here we go. I'll grind that flat with the flap disc. I'll round this with a disc sander, and we'll be good to go.
That looked great, dude.
That's not bad, right?
Show the people at home how good that looks. Like, you did a really good job on that.
Thank you.
This is like the greatest tale of fortune in the history of Roadkill. You're not even gonna believe it. It's all about the valve train, and I was freaking out about this because I needed to find rocker arms, studs that would work, and push rods of the right length. And the thing is, you normally, on any engine build, need custom length push rods unless everything is completely stock. And this actually worked. So the first problem that I had is that the new, thicker, better rocker arm studs that I have had too much thread on them. They bottomed out in the head and they wouldn't tighten up. Fortunately, I was able to find 16 hardened washers of the very same thickness to be able to go under them right there. Now, the dilemma that that brings about is that those washers are raising up that rocker arm stud so that it also raises the rocker arm and makes it less likely that I'm gonna find a push rod that'll work. So I got a 1:5 ratio rocker and I went in there with my adjustable length push rod and I found exactly what I needed. And then I made a giant discovery, a box of used 1.65-to-1 rocker arms. Unbelievable that I had that, unbelievable that I've got the valve to piston clearance for it, but then I went looking and I found push rods that were 8 inches long that ended up working perfectly with that and giving me a pattern on the end of the valve exactly like what I needed. So in the end, everything comes out hunky-dory. I know you guys don't even believe me that all this stuff's just sitting around and falling together like this, but trust me, it's been here forever and it is falling together into an engine. Now that I've figured out how to make all the magic happen, it's time to work. I'm gonna have to clean and torque in all of the pushrod guide plates and studs, aligning the rocker arms on the tips of the valves, and clean up all the rocker arms, install all the lifters, install all the push rods, and then lash all the valves. It's gonna be a while, but man, home stretch. I think the grueling work is over. I've got all of the valves lashed. This thing is a long block ready for the trick intake manifold and valve covers. That part's gonna be fun. Wait for it. But first, I want to pre-lube this thing and make sure it has oil pressure and that oil's getting up to the rocker arms. I'm gonna get electric drill on this thing. Here's a sobering thought. Why did I actually take this engine apart? I never really checked the bottom end. Is there something wrong with it that I don't remember? It's actually possible, because I hooked up the cordless drill and it got no oil pressure. Let's see what this Widowmaker can do. Officially concerned. I didn't hear it hit. Starting to get some here. Oh yeah, okay, we're gonna be good. Whew! Director Brad just called me and warned me that Finnegan and Newbern are going to be calling me for a video conference soon. Unfortunately, they have to give us warning on that because those guys have to like set up the video conference recording and all this stuff. But apparently they're having some kind of trouble with the truck. I don't know exactly what. So what I want to do is set it all up in here to make it look like I'm done. So I'm going to move all these movie lights out of the way, roll the engine over there, and mock it up with an intake and valve covers for the first time. Haha. Complete. Okay, I think that worked pretty good. I think those guys might believe me if I wipe that thing off. Hey guys, what's going on?
Oh, the usual, you know, parts that don't fit. Bought a truck with a blown head gasket again. Imagine that.
No.
Let me show you. Yeah. This is good. You'll like this. The first clue that we might have a problem was the sludge-filled valve cover. And then we pulled the head, and the head gasket was ungood right here.
Yep.
Yeah, there and there. So we ordered new head bolts, can't get those until Friday, so that slowed us down. Today, we were looking at some of the other parts we have, including this radiator. You know, the radiator looks not good, but it just keeps getting better when you realize you can remove entire sections of it and just throw it on the floor.
I've seen it all, and I have never seen that one before. That is awesome.
Yeah, she's custom. You know, it's a show truck. I don't know. Maybe we'll try to slam a clutch in this thing today because that's about all we can do.
Well, and meanwhile, boom.
Oh, man.
It's like done.
He's way ahead.
Oh, no, there's no plug wires on it.
Yeah, there's no plug wires, distributor isn't timed, I don't have headers, I don't have a water pump. It needs a few adjustments here and there.
We have half the engine, twice the manpower, and yet he's still way ahead.
Remember, I still have to build an entire engine test stand and make that happen as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely catch you then. What's that going to take? 20 minutes? All right, well, good luck. Call us again, you know, when spark plug wire number 1 doesn't quite match number 2 in terms of length, and you got to go back and start over. And yeah, let us know that the struggle is real.
Yeah, you guys are having trouble. Sorry, not sorry. All right, see you later.
All right, good luck. See ya.
I think I fooled those guys. I could tell that they were looking at the engine in disappointment. They realized it was almost as average as like a Toyota mini truck. But I fooled them. And so right now is when I'm gonna go pick the actual intake manifold for this thing. And I have a lot to choose from. I'm gonna let you in on it. Check this out. Another wind intake, this one black. This combination actually looks pretty good. Matches the oil pan and the damper, the whole blackout treatment. It's a factory black Wyand Super Warrior, factory black QFT carburetor. Kind of gauche to combine the wind intake manifold with the Edelbrock valve covers though. One of many reasons this has got to go. Now, let's move on with an actual Edelbrock intake manifold to match the Edelbrock valve covers and a Holley carburetor. This isn't bad, looking a little bit more racy, although these valve covers do not match at all. However, the Victor Jr. Edelbrock single plane intake manifold probably is the one that I would recommend for this general application, but we can get even racier. Now we're really looking racy. That is an Edelbrock Super Victor intake manifold, even taller, even gnarlier, even more racy, and looking good with the cast aluminum valve covers. But we got 2 problems here. First of all, Dart valve covers, Edelbrock intake manifold, and not Dart heads. A social faux pas, you can't do it. But also, unfortunately, the Super Victor intake is so big and this engine is so small that it's a mismatch. I've seen it lose power on the dyno. So we're not gonna be using that, but we can solve the Dart problem. And let's spice it up a little bit with a nice Holley Silver and Blue 750 double pumper. This is what's called a cool can. It's a high-rise dual plane air gap style. I'm not gonna use a dual plane for this. If I was, you would want to use one of those or an Edelbrock RPM. But we're not gonna. Next, here we go. The Holley Tri-Power. Man, that's cool. Unfortunately, we proved on the Engine Masters show that this thing is only capable of supporting about 450 horsepower. So I knew I wasn't gonna use it. I just wanted to show it to you because it's rad. 3 Holley 2-barrel carburetors on a dual plane intake manifold. You can buy this as a package from Holley. And it's rad, but it's not gonna fly. Here we go. This is the Holley Stealth Ram. Yes, EFI, I know it's unlike me. However, it's just like a tunnel ram with a plenum on top and a throttle valve. I really wanted to use this thing, genuinely, but unfortunately, there's no way I'm gonna get EFI to run tomorrow on an engine stand, maybe in the future, but let's go. The Stealth Ram reminds me of something else. Let's go. Oh, you guessed it, the Wyand Vintage Tunnel Ram. Here we go. QFT Tunnel Ram carburetors. I can make this linkage work. These are two, I believe, 450 CFM 4-barrels, and they're meant specifically for tunnel ram applications. I don't like the silver finish, honestly, but it might be what we have to go with. But I can improve the look of the engine. Genuine, vintage, moreShow, stamped aluminum, blue anodized valve covers. That is mint. Red, white, and blue kind of, isn't it? Man, I'm just not sure that that's working with the carburetors and the red engine block. But wait, red moreShow valve covers. These are actually brand new, and they're not aluminum, they're stamped steel, powder-coated red. You can buy them currently. And maybe a little bit of a clash on the engine block, I'm not sure. So there are my options, and I guess you're gonna have to find out what I decide to do here. I'm gonna have to pick some valve covers, and it's gonna be either the plain Holly silver ones, or the red moreShows, or the blue moreShows. And then the carburetors are gonna be either the gold ones or the silver ones, depending on what I can make work. Whew, that was a lot of work, but worth it.
Well, it's Friday. We've not gotten a lot done thus far, but we have head bolts. I left my house, which I haven't done much of in weeks, and I drove to a Toyota dealership and got factory OEM head bolts to replace our junk ones. And right now, we need to strip some parts off of our old cylinder head, bolt that stuff onto our ported LC Engineering head, and then put the intake on, hook up the exhaust, peel the rockers off this, clean those, peel the block off plates off this, clean those, and then go back to the truck and start installing parts, because these head bolts get torqued down through the rocker stamps. And then we've got to set valve lash and do all kinds of fun stuff. We are now about to install our rocker shafts and then our head bolts. Like right now, we're on TDC on number 1, so we're on the base circle of the cam, so these aren't going to be actuated. But some of these other ones will be, and as we go to torque this down, it's going to probably be an issue for us.
All right.
All right, we are lubed.
Check it out. Brand new radiator. As you've seen earlier, the old one was falling apart, to say the least. So we got a brand new one from the parts store, and we're one step closer to making this thing run.
Before we finish the motor and fire it up, we need to set the valve lash because we have a totally different cam. So the adjusters on these adjustable rocker arms are totally backed out. We're looking for 7 thousandths of an inch lash on the intake and 11 thousandths on the exhaust. Lash is just a gap. It's a gap between the tip of the valve stem and the rocker arm. If there's no lash in there, when the engine is cold, it won't close and then stuff bends. The great thing about overhead cam motors is you can see the camshaft. So you set the lash when the rocker is on the base circle of the cam. So the valve is shut, the rocker's on the base circle, it's not trying to open the valve, that's when you set the lash. If you look at number 4 right now, although we're TDC on number 1, on cylinder number 4, that intake is starting to open. See that? So you can't move it. We can set number 1 intake and exhaust. We can set number 2 intake. Right now, we can set number 3 exhaust. This will go really fast, and then we'll just bar the motor over until the other ones are on the base circle and be good to go. I'm unfamiliar with all of this, but our carburetors were essentially not sealed to the base of the intake manifold, and because of that, there was a vacuum leak, which made it idle funny.
It's either like about to die or it's at 1,500 RPM. So we're gonna fix that. All right, here we go.
We're getting to the end. This is exciting. I love putting shiny parts on crappy old cars. Put it on TDC on number 1, stab the distributor, put the valve cover on, hook up radiator hose, fluids, install the header.
Fire it up.
Break it in.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, check it out. We are officially tunnel rammed. Finally, we are down to it. It's carburetor time. This thing's gonna look like a complete engine. Magic fitting box may have been beaten unless these are it. Moment of truth. Whoa. Did I actually get this right? Let's go with it. I'm gonna tighten those up, call it a day. Dude, the Magic Ignition box delivered. This is an MSD digital E-curve distributor. It doesn't require a box. It's super easy to wire. It's just got ignition, ground, and power. That's it. That's a good find. Distributor handled. As I continue my quest to avoid getting headers out of the loft, I'm gonna install the water pump with hardware from the Magic Allen bolt bag. Bet you didn't see that one coming. This Mazir electric water pump actually was on our Bonneville race car. This pump got me into the 200-mile-an-hour club at 243.015 miles an hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. And now it's going on this clapped out 350. The time has come. Here we go, up into the loft. I was fully dreading this, but I think I know I have some headers up here. You're gonna watch me plummet to my death is what's gonna happen here. Sandals are the right tool for this job, by the way. You may ask yourself, Freiburger, why are you keeping this rusty disaster of a header? Well, hear all the rust falling out of it? This is in fact my Bonneville race header, same one I set the record at 243 with. As a matter of fact, my buddy Keith Turk was asking me where these are the other day, and I said I didn't know. Now I know. Cool. And with the headers installed, with bolts discovered from the Magic Bolt Box, I might add, unbelievable. Man, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
So we had to break the cam in for about 20 minutes, and we're gonna use regular old motor oil with 1 bottle of Lucas Oil Products TB Zinc. This is gonna add a whole bunch of zinc to our motor oil to protect the rocker arms and the lobes of the camshafts during the break-in process. That means that valve cover can go on.
It's like a brand new truck.
Dude, it looks great.
So right now I'm gonna take the exhaust that was on the truck with our mid-length header, take it loose because it's in the way because we have an awesome new long tube header. Fire this baby up.
Like television magic. I'd help you, but I'm holding a camera right now.
No worries.
Oh man, here we go. It didn't work too good. I guess probably because it really wasn't hooked up to anything.
Yeah, it'd probably help.
Ooh.
Look how cute.
Oh, dude, it's coated.
It's nice. I mean, for what it is, it's really nice.
Dude, it's really nice. Look at this, TIG welded.
Yeah. Look how thick the flange is.
Yeah. Does it hang down below the frame?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Of our airbagged mini truck? That's the question.
I don't know. Barely touching the frame rail.
After we already smashed the tube, it's still touching.
So if we had a normal truck, we wouldn't have to do this. This truck has been modified, and an extra brace is in the chassis for the airbag, and that's what the header is hitting right now.
If the truck was stock, the header would fit perfect, but mini truck.
That's it. The COVID 350 is as done as it's gonna get. 2 450 carburetors, Wyand tunnel ram, Blueprint 210 heads, 242, 248 solid roller cam, 11:1 compression, but only 355 cubic inches. Everybody's been asking, what kind of power does it make? Well, I polled my Engine Masters co-hosts. Independently, I asked Steve Dulcich, Steve Brule, and myself to guess what kind of power it was gonna make. Every one of us picked either 6,500 or 6,600 RPM as the peak power point. Dulcich guessed 475 horsepower, Brule said 485, and I said 490. And we're pretty good at this, so that's probably in the neighborhood. But will it run at all? Well, that's the big question. I gotta run outside and build an engine test stand, hang it on there, and get this thing going either before or concurrently with Dave and Mike making their Toyota run.
Not the first fire up, we're just gonna prime the motor right now. We're getting close to starting it.
You wanna check for fuel leaks?
I don't see any. Crank her over. All right, if you get it started right away, then shut it off. We'll put it on the ground. We'll back it out of the garage, and we'll break the cam in outside. All right, it's gonna run.
Wow.
It fired right up. We got the
Jeez,
timing
dude.
really close. So let's get it on the ground and go outside.
Do the honors.
Fired it up. It's awesome because it just lit right off. Timing's where we need it, but it's popping out of the exhaust, and sounds like raw fuel exploding in the exhaust. So we're gonna pop the valve cover off and make sure we don't have a loose rocker arm there. These screws on the front carb didn't do anything. The back ones, if you screw them in, the engine slows down. But the popping went away. Yeah, there it goes, right?
Okay, I admit it. I almost forgot about you, the audience, and I didn't shoot the whole process of getting this engine out here on the stand. That's what happens when you leave the host to be the director. They completely flub. But here's the whole backstory. So this thing showed up, and I had said that I was not gonna wire it until the engine showed up. But the problem is, I figured out that the bell housing and starter that I had was from an old truck deal, and the starter was completely dead, and so I had to order the bell housing flywheel and starter, because today is the day when the expectation is that I will fire this thing up live for Mike Finnegan and Dave Newbern. Okay, ready to find out if it cranks? Yes! All right. Getting close. Maybe if I can push it back and then drop it. There we go. And off that side. And off that side. Boom. It's a roller. You know what this means? Time to call Finnegan. Ooh, but wait! There's one more thing. Ta-da! Those are legit. And there you have the COVID 350. Now we're ready to make this thing run.
What do you think?
I feel 16.
You look 16. Riding around in a mini truck. So this is our first test drive. We have completely rebuilt the top end of this engine with performance in mind. We did not install the clutch and flywheel because, well, we're out of time. So, same clutch, more power. It runs okay. It's not bad. It's smooth. Yeehaw! Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, baby, there we go.
Dudes, how'd it go?
We got roadkill.
Really?
Yeah, the parts were great. The stock motor, not so great. Blown head gasket, head bolts that didn't want to come out. It was a mess. And ultimately, we did rebuild the top end of our motor before you did the top end of your motor, and we went out and did a burnout in it, and then immediately after the burnout, which ripped, by the way, it started misfiring and running poorly. And so, although it runs, it's unhappy.
I see. Okay, well, you had twice as many people and half as many cylinder heads, so I don't feel that bad. You ready to see what I made happen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you saw this engine when I first put it together, and it was nothing like this.
Oh, hey now.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that was a short block when we saw it.
It had a single 4-barrel back then. It did not have tunnel ram, velocity stacks, moreShow valve covers, all the swanky stuff.
Wow. He tricked us. Dude, I like it a lot. I do. You want to see ours?
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course, what I'm thinking is we need to put this engine in your truck. It'll probably be a lot better.
Yes. The tunnel ram would look great through the hood of this. So there it is. Side draft carburetors. Wire harness sitting on the tire. You don't get that anywhere else. That was the wire harness sitting on the tire.
I see that.
Because mini truck. It might start. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
How'd you like them 4 cylinders of fury?
All right, and it does burnouts?
Oh, it does wicked burnouts now.
Oh, I'll
yeah.
have to wait for the episode to see that, I guess.
Yeah, the one-wheel appeal is on point, my friend.
All right.
You'd love it.
Ready to see it run?
Kind of nice. Yes, you have redeemed yourself. So whenever you're ready, just go ahead. Fire it, please.
Here we go. Squirting gas.
Sounds like he's drowning a cat. I've never seen someone so happy to drown a cat before. I bet it was awesome. The internet audio was really bad.
I can tell.
Really bad. Yeah, I can tell it.
Yeah, internet audio is probably terrible, but it runs good. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, dude, I like it a lot.
So we were both completely victorious in different ways. It just took me much longer.
So I'm not gonna lie, I was really disappointed when I seen the single 4-barrel on there. I was like, all those cool intakes and stuff he has, I was like, come on, you can do better than that. That makes me happy right there.
I figured.
So whenever you're ready, just ship that thing on over to Georgia, and we'll find a home for it.
All right, later.
Later.
And there it goes, the second episode of Roadkill produced during the pandemic, and the first one that was shot and recorded by the hosts themselves. You may have noticed that I mentioned I would give my engine to Finnegan for his mini truck, and as much as I would like to save him from himself and those one-wheel peels with 4-banger power, I do have plans for the COVID 350. You'll see it on Engine Masters, and we will probably be installing it in my 56 Chevy in an episode of Roadkill Garage. As for the Toyota, well, I'm pretty sure Finnegan can do better once we finally get back to blasting the streets, the highways, and the junkyards on future episodes of Roadkill.
So we're getting... Oh, hold on. We got to clap.
We got to clap.
Ready? Hey.
Do we both have to clap or just you?
I don't know. The camera's going crazy.
Hear my cat yelling outside? Stupid cat.
All right, removing the timing cover, day 2.
So all I really need to do here is clean it up, including getting the dead roaches out of it.
I was into you, but I know it now. And I was trying to be nice. Nothing's getting through, so let me spell it out. A, B, C, D, fuck you and your mom and your sister and your job and your broke ass car and the shit you call art. Fuck you and your friend that I'll never see again. Everybody but your tongue, you can all fuck off. Na 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 like a heart in the